The strike. The twin suns of Selora Prime hung low in the sky, painting the city's glass spires in molten gold. The air was alive with the hum of anti-gravity transports, alien chatter, and the glow of banners announcing the Galactic Concord Summit, a fragile gathering where peace between species dangled by a fraying thread. Mira Callen barely noticed the grandeur. At 7 months pregnant, her focus was on each careful step along the polished skybridge that led to the market plaza. Her hand rested protectively over the gentle swell of her belly. The baby kicked softly. She smiled. Her husband, Commander Asher Callen, had insisted she remain aboard the diplomatic cruiser, but Mira was stubborn. She wanted fresh air. She wanted to feel alive. The plaza was bustling. Humans, Grellians, Threx, and other species weaving together in awkward civility. Mira moved slowly, pausing to admire alien silks when her world shifted. A heavy body slammed into her shoulder. She staggered. Before she could apologize, a massive clawed hand gripped her upper arm. The alien was enormous. Easily 7 feet tall, scales shimmering dark green under polished combat armor. His eyes glowed sulfur yellow with predatory disdain. "Watch where you walk, soft skin," he snarled in guttural common. The surrounding crowd froze. Myra's voice caught. I'm sorry. It was an accident." The alien's lip curled. The insignia on his chest plate confirmed his identity. General Dravik Thal of the Graxian Empire, one of the most brutal species to ever hold council seats. "Humans," he spat, "always in the way. Always polluting places you don't belong." Then it happened, so fast the crowd barely registered it. With deliberate malice, Dravik's armored foot struck Mira square in the abdomen. The impact lifted her off the ground. She crumpled to the floor, clutching her stomach as agony ripped through her. Screams erupted. An alien medic rushed forward. Some witnesses pulled out hollow devices to record. Others stood paralyzed by fear of the Graxian general's power. Mira gasped for breath, tears running down her cheeks. Her fingers, trembling, pressed desperately over her womb. "The baby," she whispered. Her vision blurred as medics surrounded her. Sirens wailed. Somewhere above, a security drone broadcast the incident live to the entire station. Dravik folded his arms, utterly unbothered. "Next time, remember your place," he said coldly before turning away, his armored boots echoing across the stone. The medics worked frantically. Mira could barely speak, but she whispered one word, one name, through bloodied lips as they lifted her onto the stretcher. "Callen." The medics froze. The lead nurse, a Saloran male with silver skin, glanced at the security chief. "Did she say Callen?" he whispered. The chief's face went pale. He tapped hurriedly into his communicator. "Send immediate encrypted relay to the Phantom Division. Priority 1. We've got a code black." The scene dissolved into chaos. Emergency vehicles screamed toward the hospital. Crowds dispersed. But in the shadows of the holoscreens, those who knew, those who remembered the stories, felt something colder than fear settle into their bones. It wasn't just any human woman who'd been attacked. Her husband was Commander Asher Callen, the man known across the spiral arm as the Phantom, the Human Wraith, the Butcher of Duskfall, a name spoken in whispers even among hardened alien warlords. Entire fleets had vanished in his wake. Planets still bore the scars of his precision wrath. And now, someone had hurt his wife. A message pulsed silently across secure channels, racing toward the human fleet. On the Revenant-class warship Elysium, Asher Callen stood alone in the combat chamber, his breathing slow and steady, his mind honed sharp as ever. The message came through. He read it once. His vision narrowed. His heartbeat didn't quicken, but something in him, something ancient and terrible, awoke. Mira, hurt, unborn child, struck by General Dravik Thal. Asher's voice, low and lethal, echoed in the empty room. Set course for Selora Prime. The galaxy did not know it yet, but something far worse than war was coming. It was personal now, the man they feared. The silence inside the Revenant-class warship Elysium was suffocating. No alarms, no chatter, just the soft hum of reactors pushing the sleek vessel through the black towards Cellora Prime. At the center of it all stood Commander Asher Callen. His face was still, emotion buried beneath layers of military discipline. But his eyes, those cold, human eyes, burned with something ancient and dangerous. Rage tightly coiled. Vengeance, precise as a scalpel. The message from the hospital scrolled across the hollow display again. Incident report. Civilian, Mira Callen. Status, critical but stable. Pregnancy intact. Assailant, General Dravik Thal, Graxian High Command. Asher's fists tightened behind his back. He read it again and again. His mind, trained for war, processed every possibility. Mira, their unborn child. Attacked. Humiliated. By a monster in broad daylight. He didn't feel anger the way most did. For Asher Callen, rage was cold, an Arctic wind, not a wildfire. He had not earned the call sign Phantom by losing control. He earned it by being the most efficient killer the human race had ever produced. And now the universe had made the worst mistake imaginable. Confirmed deployment, he said calmly. His team assembled before him, 6 elite operatives in adaptive nanoarmor. Each of them veterans of battles the wider galaxy pretended never happened. Wars in the dark, where no witnesses were left behind. The first to step forward was Lieutenant Cale Draven, Callen's second-in-command. Cybernetic, eye glowing faintly blue. Cale's voice was low. Commander, this mission isn't sanctioned. High Command wants diplomacy. They say this was regrettable, but not worth escalation. Asher met his gaze without blinking. He assaulted my wife. He tried to kill my child. Silence. Do any of you object? Asher asked the room quietly. None did. Not one. Because every soldier there knew the unspoken rule. When you strike down an innocent, especially one tied to Callen, you forfeit mercy. On the alien news feeds, the incident spread like wildfire. The footage of General Dravik Thal striking Mira was broadcast repeatedly. The brutal, unprovoked attack followed by the general's cold indifference. Most species didn't care. The Graxian Empire still held immense political power. They considered humans a young species, barely tolerated in galactic politics. But those who understood the deeper layers of the universe began to panic. Old warlords, retired admirals, smugglers who'd survived battles, no official records listed. They whispered to each other over encrypted channels. Did you hear who she was married to? Callen. That Callen. By the stars, he'll burn the sky. Even inside the halls of the Galactic Concord, ambassadors murmured uneasily. Some tried to distance themselves. Some quietly sent word to their homeworlds to prepare for consequences. In the medbay of Cellora Prime, Mira stirred awake. Tubes and monitors surrounded her. Her hand instinctively moved to her belly. A soft chime brought her gaze to the corner. Her personal communicator blinking green. She knew who it would be. Her voice was barely above a whisper when she answered. Asher. His face appeared on the small screen. Calm, but unmistakably dangerous. I'm here, he said gently. The baby's alive, she murmured, tears slipping down her bruised cheeks. I know, he said. I've already seen the reports. A long pause. Asher, don't, she tried to say, her voice breaking. But his eyes softened, just for her. I'm not doing this because of the child, he murmured. I'm doing it because he put his hands on you. Her heart clenched. She knew him too well. Knew that once he set his mind to action, nothing in the galaxy, not politics, not treaties, not even her tears, could stop him. I'll bring justice, he promised. And I'll come home to you. She nodded faintly, exhaustion claiming her. Hours later, as the Elysium dropped out of warp on the edge of Cellora Prime system, Asher and his team suited up in absolute silence. His armor, sleek black with crimson inlays, bore no insignia. The Phantom Division didn't need symbols. The galaxy recognized their silence. Cale checked his weapon systems. Confirmed target? Asher's voice was low. Steady. General Dravik Thal. Alive or dead. But the universe will know what happens to those who touch what's mine. His helmet sealed with a hiss. The strike was coming. And somewhere on Cellora Prime, oblivious to the coming storm, General Thal still laughed. The reckoning. The twin moons of Selora Prime cast silver light over the city's highest tower, the Graxian Embassy, a fortress of steel, glass, and arrogance. Inside, General Dravik Thal reclined on a gilded chair, talons drumming lazily on the armrest as alien dignitaries whispered around him. "I did what should have been done long ago," Dravik snarled, voice thick with contempt. "Humans are vermin. One dead breeder means nothing." Laughter rippled through some of the gathered Graxian officers. Others shifted uneasily. Even among the ruthless, there were limits, lines not meant to be crossed. But the general didn't notice the discomfort. He drank deeply from a crystal goblet, confident in the strength of his empire, confident that no human, no matter how aggrieved, could touch him on this soil. He never saw the shadow coming. Miles below, in the dead of night, Commander Asher Callen moved like a phantom. His team, 6 elite operatives in adaptive black armor, slipped through the perimeter, bypassing laser grids, thermal scans, and motion detectors without a single sound. No alarms, no motion, just death approaching on silent feet. They had no insignias, no call signs, no identifying markers. They were ghosts in human skin, predators sharpened by centuries of evolution and relentless war. Through neural comms, Lieutenant Kale whispered, "Primary target, confirmed in Embassy's East Wing. 70 meters, minimal defense." Asher's voice responded, cold as deep space. "No casualties except the general. No civilian witnesses. We're not butchers. We're precision." The team acknowledged. Orders like these didn't come often. But when they did, the outcome was never in doubt. Inside the embassy, the laughter died. The lights flickered. A low hum filled the air as if the building itself was holding its breath. Then the power cut, total blackout. Before guards could react, the first fell. A silenced shot. A slash of carbon-edged steel. Not a scream. Not a sound. The second. The third. All down. Panic spread too late. Dravik stood abruptly, bellowing orders as soldiers scrambled, but the corridors were already compromised. Holograms glitched, doors sealed, security drones offline. And then he saw him, the black-armored figure emerging through the smoke, helmet reflecting crimson emergency lights. Step by deliberate step, unhurried. A predator with no need to rush. The alien soldiers raised weapons. Asher raised one hand. EMP pulse. The alien rifles clicked uselessly. Dead systems. The next 5 seconds were pure, clinical brutality. Asher moved through them like a scythe, disarming, disabling, breaking bones without killing a single soldier. Bones cracked. Screams choked. One soldier fell, clutching a shattered arm. Another collapsed with both knees broken. Then there was silence. Only Dravik Thal remained, backed into the far corner of the room, his massive reptilian frame trembling not with rage, but with something he hadn't felt in decades. Fear. Asher removed his helmet with a slow hiss. The general's eyes widened. Recognition dawned. "Callen." The human's expression was unreadable. His voice was calm, almost conversational. "You put hands on my wife." Dravik tried to bluster. It was..." "Don't," Asher cut in. "Don't waste air." For the first time, the general saw it. The infamous phantom, not as myth or propaganda, but as living death incarnate. There was no negotiation, no mercy. Asher didn't raise his weapon. Instead, he held up a small device and activated it. Every news channel across the system lit up with the unedited footage of Dravik striking Mira. The entire galaxy watched in real time. The brutality, the disregard, the coldness. Diplomats, soldiers, civilians, billions of beings. The truth was no longer deniable. The general's legacy was destroyed in a heartbeat. Asher stepped closer, voice barely above a whisper. "I won't kill you. You're going to stand trial for what you did. You'll live long enough to see your empire humiliated, to see your name spoken with disgust." Dravik lunged in desperation, massive claws swiping toward Asher's throat. The human sidestepped effortlessly. One precise strike, fracturing the alien's right arm at the joint. Dravik collapsed, roaring in agony. Asher crouched low, eyes hard. "Touch my family again," he murmured, "and I'll erase your bloodline from the stars." The Galactic Council's security forces arrived minutes later. General Dravik Thal was handed over alive, broken, shamed, and silent. The footage of his crime had already spread to 1,000 worlds. Protests flared. Sanctions began. The Graxian Empire, so confident in its power, now faced diplomatic ruin. And Commander Asher Callen? He walked away without a scratch. In a hospital hours later, he took Myra's hand gently in his own. "It's over," he whispered. And for the first time since the nightmare began, she smiled. The legacy of wrath. The suns of Selora Prime were just beginning to rise, casting golden light across a world that would never be the same. News broadcasts dominated every holo channel. Footage of General Dravik Thal's assault on a defenseless pregnant human woman played in endless loops, accompanied by the images of his capture, broken, bloodied, and utterly defeated. The Graxian Empire issued a public apology under immense pressure from the Galactic Concord. The alien warlords who once mocked humans now scrambled to distance themselves from Dravik's disgrace. And across the stars, one name echoed louder than any other. Commander Asher Callen, the man who had done the impossible. Again, Asher sat quietly in the hospital room, his armored jacket discarded, hands clasped loosely between his knees. The faint beeping of monitors and the soft breath of his wife, Mira, were the only sounds in the room. She stirred, her eyes fluttering open, and for the first time since the attack, her face lit with warmth. "You're here," she whispered. He nodded. "I'm here." She smiled faintly. "I saw the news." He let out a slow breath. "I wanted justice. For you. For the baby. But I didn't want you to wake up to a war." Her fingers found his, squeezing gently. "You stopped a war, Asher. You showed them who we are. Who you are." For the first time in days, his cold expression softened. He brushed her hair gently away from her forehead, careful not to disturb the bandages or forelines. "The baby's strong," she murmured. "I can feel it." He smiled then, just a small one but real. "Just like you." Across the galaxy, reactions rippled in every corner of civilization. In the Graxian Empire, there was outrage and fear. Dravik's trial was demanded by multiple species, and the Graxian leadership, under global scrutiny, had no choice but to comply. On Earth, humans celebrated, not just because Asher Callen had struck back, but because it proved once again that human life, every life, mattered, even in a universe that often saw them as inferior newcomers. And in the darker corners of the stars, warlords and crime syndicates added a new line to their unspoken rules. Never touch a human's family. Never touch Callen's family. A week later, on the observation deck of the Elysium, Asher stood in full uniform, gazing down at Selora Prime's sprawling cities far below. Lieutenant Kale Draven approached silently. "Councils made their decision," Kale said quietly. "Dravik will stand trial on neutral ground. His military rank has been stripped. The Graxians won't risk open conflict." Asher gave a small nod, but said nothing. Kale hesitated. "Commander, you could have ended him. Right there. No one would have stopped you." Asher's eyes didn't leave the stars. "That would have made me no better than him," he said. "We fight monsters, Kale. We don't become them." A long pause. "They're calling you something new," Kale added, a small smirk on his lips. "The man who broke the Graxians." Asher exhaled quietly. "Let them talk. I'm done." When he returned to the hospital later that evening, Mira was sitting up, sunlight on her face, hands resting on her belly. "Are we going home?" she asked softly. He knelt beside her bed, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. "Yes, we're going home. No more war. Not for me." She smiled, eyes shining. "Good." They sat in comfortable silence as the last of the suns dipped behind the horizon. The warmth of the moment was fragile but real. Asher rested a hand on her stomach, feeling the faintest flutter beneath his fingertips. A new life, a new beginning. For years, he had been the Phantom, the weapon humanity unleashed when nothing else could stand. But here now he was something more. A husband, a father, A man who had reminded the galaxy of one simple truth. You can threaten humanity. You can challenge their worlds. But when you harm what they love, they will come for you, and you will fall.